7 stages of relationships.
Stage 3, conflict.
Hi, I'm Bec from Be Free Emotional Fitness Training, and I support women and girls to become emotionally stronger.
And I'm Vern from Move Forward Mentoring, and I specialise in male mentoring, helping boys and men find their passion, speak from their heart, and build better relationships.
And together we are rekindling relationships. We work with couples through mentoring sessions as well as facilitating communication and creative workshops to build deeper connections.
Welcome to our podcast, designed to help you strengthen and bring more fun into your partnership, as well as create a more loving, healthy, and strong connection. So welcome back, and now we're talking about stage 3, conflict.
Conflict. Oh no. Not a fun stage.
Not a fun stage. You might want to turn off right now. I don't want to talk about conflict. I would say that every single relationship, it doesn't matter if it's with your partner, or it's with your parents, or it's with your siblings, or it's with your friends, conflict comes up.
And I think you need to understand that that's a healthy part of a relationship.
Yeah,
so that you don't
a normal,
get,
natural part.
Yeah, that's right. It's just how the conflict is dealt with.
Rather than there being this panic that there's conflict in the relationship, oh my goodness, it can't be right.
It's over.
It's over. How can we ever fight with each other? We used to love each other so much and everything was wonderful and it was all rainbows and kittens and awesome sex in every room of the house. And now we're having a conversation which I don't like. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
I was enjoying it.
Okay.
And conflict can be heated in those early stages, but they reckon that towards the later stages, conflict tends to be resolved in a calm manner. And
as opposed to at the beginning.
Yeah, when it can be quite heated. And
is that because everyone's like really trying to hold their own?
Well, and there might be a bit of a fear there, you know, maybe there's still, the relationship's not as deep.
There's not that deep connection.
Yeah,
where
and
you're
like, oh my God, they're going to walk out on me. So there's that fear, and then that creates the conflict to be more heated, and there's a loss. You know, there could be a loss. They could walk out on you, so you're scared.
Yeah, wherein once you've actually built a connection and you have worked through this stage of conflict, then when there is a disagreement, then both people are working towards fixing that for the relationship. They're not out for themselves, where I think there's a bit more self-interest at the beginning where you're like, well, I'm right and you're wrong.
And this change comes through maturity and increased intimacy and respect as the relationship matures.
Yeah, as you spend more time together and you know each other a little bit better, then the conflict changes, doesn't it?
And you're not scared that person's going to walk away on you.
Yeah, well,
You're like, oh yeah, we've had conflict before. Our relationship survived it.
I think it really depends on how you've dealt with conflict in the past, how you've grown up with conflict, what conflict is like in your house. If you've grown up where your parents actively worked on conflict and knew how to talk about it and move through it, then you'll probably be able to take that into your relationship. But if you grew up in a house where conflict was yelling and banging doors, or people jumping in cars and driving off,
people saying nasty things,
people being rude,
to each
people
other,
being horrible, then you don't want conflict, do you?
No, and that's a really good point. That can have a big impact on our response to conflict in a relationship, and whether we avoid it or we freak out and go, oh my goodness, this conflict, this relationship's over. So yeah, I think that's a really good point, that it's not very often, I would say, that we've seen healthy conflict growing up.
Most people probably haven't. They probably haven't even seen their parents
demonstrated healthy conflict.
Yeah, even argue positively, productively.
Yeah.
Because they take it away from them and go and do it in the room or do it somewhere else. Or have you ever had to deal with like conflict in a relationship?
I would say in my first relationship, we never argued, but then we both avoided conflict, which wasn't healthy either because things never really got resolved. Or raised that were issues.
So you ignore the fact that there's a problem rather than actually dealing with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of avoidance.
Yeah. I think we have worked through conflict really well. So, you know, it's been an issue in some ways for us where our past has impacted
our present
when conflict comes up.
Yeah.
But we are quite aware of voicing that.
And I think it's got easier, I think, as we have sort of deepened our connection and deepened our love, and there's a realization that the other person isn't going to walk. For me, I think there was this belief that you were just going to go, oh, he's a bit too hard. He's got a bit too much old crap going on. And maybe, he could be a little bit more self-aware or something. And you would just walk. And so what would happen for me is there'd be an anxiety, and that would probably increase the conflict. Where me now knowing in this very grounded way that you're in this and that we're going to work through this, so I'm less likely for me to get
so triggered
by things and be like, oh, okay, we can just talk through this and it's okay. And in the past, my relationship with my mother, there was so much conflict. It was always an argument over something because we were both always right. And that made it really hard to have a conversation when the other person's always right. This takes me back to one of our podcasts, which was zero-sum game. It's either, one person's got to be right and the other person's got to be wrong, and that's the only way it is. And that sort of conflict doesn't work, because if one person is always right, the other person is going to get resentful, or the other person believes the other one's right, then there's resentment and there's a real distrust gets to be built up in there because you don't feel like that other person has your back.
I think this is really important too. One of our podcasts was about holding space. And when conflict comes up, I really appreciate that you're really good at holding space. I'm never worried about bringing anything up. I pretty much will raise everything and anything that bothers me. You hold space really well. You don't take it too personally, which is really good.
I guess I've learned that, when you are telling me about what's going on for you, I'm getting to actually hear your inner thought, and that I should be really grateful that you are willing to be honest with me rather than hold that stuff away. It sort of demonstrates to me how much you love me, that you're willing to express exactly what's happening for you rather than hide it away.
Yeah, thanks. And I think this is something we have learnt how to hone our way of dealing with conflict, haven't we, as time has gone on?
Yeah, that's taken time to really work through that and understand. At the end of the day, it's not about me winning or you winning. It's about the relationship winning.
Yeah. And I think if you find that you're stuck in conflict, then that's probably at a point in the 7 stages of a relationship where you will either end it as well. If you're like, oh, we're always in conflict, then the conflict,
always fighting,
the way that we're fighting is nasty. So if it's actually, verbally abusive or emotionally manipulative, then this would be a warning sign.
Yeah, that is a point where you look at it and say, hey, hang on, we're in conflict continually, and nothing's changing, nothing's moving forward. We're not agreeing on things. We're not fighting for each other. We're fighting for ourselves. Yeah. It's that sense of self-interest, isn't it? Because if you actually only care about what you need and what you want, then being in a relationship is going to be hard because, you have to care about both of you. You've got to actually accept that the other person's not going to agree with you all the time and you're not going to agree with them. And that's okay. But you have to have a very healthy way to move through that conflict.
Yeah, this is a healthy part of relationships.
So if you want to learn more about how to productively work through conflict in your relationship, please listen to our C is for conflict episode and also H is for holding space. We really feel that there's some great resources for you to use.
So stay tuned for our next podcast, Stage 4 for commitment. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and follow us.
And check out our website at rekindlingrelationships.com.
Bye for now.
See ya.